Welcome to the Wisdom for Life podcast with David Baker. David was a former paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division and for over 30 years has been a preacher. He has written 5 books and is an Amazon #1 best-selling author. He is the chaplain at the county jail, pastors a church, and is the father of 11 children. Yes, 11. This podcast is here to give you wisdom for your family, your marriage, your children, your finances, your health, and your life. And now, the host of Wisdom of Life podcast, David Baker.
Hello and welcome, David Baker. Welcome to another episode of the Wisdom for Life podcast. Of course, we want to give you wisdom. We want to help you to know what to do and how to do it by the Bible and by what God says. Wisdom is knowing what to do and having the power to do it. We'd like to help you to get wisdom in all the areas of your life. And boy, when you live by wisdom, how much better life will be. So this is our Wednesday podcast, so we'll have a joke and some other things in there for you. So if you have a question, email me, Ask Pastor Baker. Give us a good review. If you want to watch a video, Wisdom for Life podcast on YouTube and Rumble. And then Facebook, you can follow me on David Mark Baker for the podcast. All right, here we go. We're going to learn you something. Did you know the Eagles Stadium once had a courtroom, in Veterans Stadium, where the Philadelphia Eagles once played? They had a stadium, courtroom, and a jail to handle the team's rowdy fans. However, one of the judges said the courtroom reported that 95% of the inmates were actually not from the city itself. Okay, so the people that came in, the rowdy fans, put them in jail and had court right there for them. So anyway, thought that was pretty neat. So if you have Eagles as one of your hate team, you can pass that on to the people there. All right, a joke, a little bit long. I'll try to read it quickly, but it's pretty funny, I thought. Here we go. Green garden grass snakes can be dangerous. Yes, green little garden snakes, they can be dangerous, not just rattlesnakes. All right, a couple in Sweetwater, Texas, had a lot of potted plants. During a cold snap, the wife was bringing a lot of them indoors to protect them from possible frostbite. It turned out that a little green garden snake was hidden in one of the plants. And when it warmed up, it slithered out, and the wife saw it go under the sofa. She let out a very loud scream. Her husband, who was getting dressed after a shower, ran out of the living room in his boxer shorts to see what the problem was. She told him there was a snake underneath the sofa. He got down on the floor on his hands and knees to look at it. About that time, the family dog came in and cold-nosed him on the leg. He thought the snake had bitten him and he fainted. The wife thought he had a heart attack, so she called the ambulance. The attendants rushed in and loaded him on a stretcher and started carrying him out. About that time, the snake came out from under the sofa. The emergency medical technician saw it and dropped his end of the stretcher. That's when the man broke his leg and why he wound up in the hospital. The wife still had the problem of the snake in the house, so she called a neighbor man. He volunteered to capture the snake. He armed himself with a rolled-up newspaper and began poking around under the sofa. Soon he decided it was gone and told the woman, who sat on the sofa in relief. But in relaxing, her hand dangled between the cushions where she felt the snake wiggling around. She screamed and fainted. The snake rushed back under the sofa. The neighbor man, seeing her lying there, passed out and tried to use CPR to revive her. The neighbor's wife, who had just returned from shopping at the grocery store, saw her husband mouth on the woman's mouth and slammed her husband in the back of the head with a bag of canned goods, knocking him out and cutting his scalp to the point where he needed stitches. The ambulance was again called. It was determined that the injury required hospitalization. The noise woke up the woman from her dead faint and saw the neighbor lying on the floor with his wife bending over him, so she assumed he had been bitten by the snake. She went to the kitchen and brought back a small bottle of whiskey and began pouring it down the man's throat. By now, the police had arrived, so they saw the unconscious man, smell the whiskey, assumed that a drunken brawl had occurred. When they're about to arrest them all, that's when the two women tried to explain how it all happened over a little green snake. They called the ambulance, which took away the woman and took away the neighbor and his sobbing wife. Just then, the snake crawled out from underneath the sofa. One of the policemen drew his revolver and fired at it. He missed, and the snake hit the leg missed the snake and hit the leg of the end table that was on one side of the sofa. The table fell over, the lamp on it shattered. As the bulb broke, it started a fire in the drapes. The other policeman tried to beat the flames out and fell through the window into the yard on top of the family dog, who, startled, jumped up and raced into the street where an oncoming car swerved to avoid hitting the dog and smashed into the parked police car, setting it on fire. Meanwhile, the burning drapes had spread to the walls, and the entire house was ablaze. Neighbors had called the fire department, and they were arriving in a fire truck, started to raise its ladder as they were halfway down the street. The rising ladder tore out the overhead wires and caused the electricity to go out, and also disconnected the phone lines of a 10-square city block. Time passed. Both men were discharged from the hospital. The house was rebuilt. The police acquired a new police car, and all was right in the world again. About a year later, a couple was watching TV, and the weatherman announced a cold snap for that night. The husband asked his wife if she thought they should bring in the plants for the night, and she shot him. So, of course, not true, but it is amazing how one thing can lead to another thing, and those type things do happen. All right, things I love. You know what I love? I love to be happy. How about you? You love that? Love to be happy. We're going to talk about that today in our lesson. Things I hate: misery, gloom, despair, depression, heartache. Okay. Oh boy, when you have those things going on, you hate those. All right. So got a quote. I know who this person is, but don't know much about him. Again, these quotes, the quote is good, even though, I may not believe or agree in the person and everything. So Maya Angelou, good quote. She said, "You will face many defeats in life, but never let yourself be defeated." You will face many defeats in life, but never let yourself be defeated. Okay? Good quote. There'll be many times defeats happen, but you're not defeated as long as you don't quit. All right. So we have some Bible trivia, a new set of questions, and these are easy ones. All right. Last week, in what city was Jesus born? And you answered that? Bethlehem. Yes, correct. Okay. Nazareth is not the correct answer. All right. This one just as easy, maybe even easier. See if you know it off the top of your head without having to look it up. How many books were in the New Testament? How many books are in the New Testament? Okay. So we'll give the answer next week for that. How many books are in the New Testament? All right. So for the lesson today, we're going to talk about being happy. Lesson number 98, podcast number 98, if you want to go back. I taught one lesson about being happy, and I talked about my testimony growing up. I told my parents that I want to be happy. I'm going to do the things that will make me happy. And I did, and found out they didn't make me happy. Surrendered to God, did the things God wanted. And 2 weeks later, wow, I'm happy. I don't even know why. And got out a concordance and looked up all the times in the Bible it said, happy is a man that does this, happy is a man that does that. And for that 2 weeks, I had been doing every one of those. And so it was really a big thing. And so I started thinking more about that and looked up some things. And I've got a project that I'm working on. Just started it, but thought I would share it with you, and you can hopefully pray with me about it. And then when it's done, be able to help people with it. I looked up a lot of things. What is the number one thing that people want? What's the number one thing people want? I looked up survey and see what they said. And it's amazing. Here's one. Is the number one thing people wanted is to be, you got it, happy. Happy. Their biggest challenge was not knowing what I want to do. By the way, doing what you want to do is not the thing to make or to find happiness. And they had a top 10 list: money, freedom, peace, joy, balance, fulfillment, stability, passion, confidence. But really, when you look at all of those, they really go back to, these are the things I think will make me happy. Money. Does money make you happy? No, but people think having money will make them happy. And so all of these things are things that they want, but they really go back to just one, being happy. What do you want? Just to be happy. So another list of, I think, 50 plus things, and they have them broken down by categories. So material things: big house, nice car, fashionable clothes, plenty of money for dining out, budget for luxury travel, attractive spouse. All those things are things they what? Think will make them happy. Self-confidence things: neither to look nor feel fat. Oh, well, to eat whatever you want without gaining weight. They have a bunch of self-confidence things. Again, those are things they think will make them happy. Adventurous list. Visit every continent. Speak a foreign language fluently. Know how to take professional photography. Go scuba diving, cliff diving, skydiving, all the things there. By the way, they said go to a major sports championship like Wimbledon. Really? Major sports championship? You think of Wimbledon? I think of the Super Bowl or World Series or something like that. But anyway, and again, those things are things they think will make them happy. Then they have spiritual, emotional things, career-related things, health things. I thought this was interesting. Giving your dog a really happy life. If I give my dog a really happy life, then I'll be happy. Each one of those things, when you look at it, are things that they think will make them happy. So really, when it comes down to it, what do we want? We want to be happy. And all the other things on the list are things we think will make us happy. So Webster has two definitions for happiness. The first one is a state of well-being and contentment. The second one is a pleasurable or satisfying experience. A pleasurable or satisfying experience. So here's what happens. Happiness comes in two ways. There are those who live in a state of happiness and those who are experiencing the happiness. The problem is when we try to find happiness by the experiences of happiness, you're on a never-ending quest and will never truly find happiness. You're doing thing after thing, the next thing after next thing, the things that you think will make you happy, and it will not. But the first one, a state of well-being and contentment. When you are grateful for what you have and you're content with what you have, you will live in a state of happiness. The old quote is, there are two ways to be happy: to get what you want or to want what you have. Oh boy, if I could just have this car, Lamborghini, wow, I'd be happy. Or you can look at whatever car you have and say, I love this car. This is an awesome car. I love my car. So you become happy by getting what you want. And sometimes that's hard. And when we get what we want, we realize, oh, wow, the oil change for a Lamborghini is $500 just to change the oil. I don't know what it is. I haven't checked with my Lamborghini yet to see. Mine's really new and I haven't changed the oil yet, and I'm lying. But anyway, the regular maintenance on cars like that are through the roof. Maybe it'd be more than that. Sometimes the thing we think we want when we get it is not the thing that we want. But when you live in a state of being grateful, thankful for what you have, everything, the little things, the big things, the hot water. One time we were going through a tough time and cars had broken down and we had one van and it didn't work a lot of the times, and I didn't even have a car. My car got totaled. Someone else was driving it, and we needed the insurance money to pay bills, and it was a rough time. So I didn't have a car. Family in church had bought a new car and they felt sorry for me, so they gave me their little 1994 Toyota Camry. And the paint job on it wasn't there. You know those faded kind where that top coat comes off and then the paint fades off? Yeah, it was one of those. And a little four-door Toyota Camry 1994. And guess what I decided? I'm going to love this car. I'm going to love this car. Every time I get in this car, I'm going to say, God, thank you for this car. Thank you for transportation. Thank you for being able to get from point A to point B. And guess what? That little car made me so happy because I decided I was going to want what I had. And when you want what you have, you will be happy. You know how people fall, quote, into sin? They're trying to make themselves happy. How many rebellious teenagers said, I want to do my own thing. How come? Because I want to be happy. That's what I did. How many marriages have messed up? How many people have gotten into sin in an adulterous relationship because they want to, quote, make themselves happy? It doesn't. They may have some fun for a while, pleasure of sin for a season, but the consequences are going to come, and guess what they're going to realize? That is not going to make them happy. That is not. So the things that will make us happy, that state of happiness, gratefulness, contentment. The Bible says, having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Hey, I got a set of clothes and I got some food in my belly. I'm happy. Having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. He didn't even say transportation, a house, just having food and raiment let us be there with content. Is that the way we are? Is that the way we are? So we ought to enjoy those things. The Bible says comparing ourselves among ourselves is not wise, especially when you compare yourself to people who have more things than you do. Hey, if you want to do any comparison, look at the people who don't have what you have. Go on a mission trip. Go in a third world country. Go see how many people live. Go to the worst section of town. Talk to those people. Guess what happens? You get real happy with what you have because you see what other people don't have. To be happy, what do? Gratefulness, thankfulness. In everything, give thanks, the Bible says. In everything, give thanks. Even when it seems horrible, give thanks for it. And when you do, it's amazing how much happiness you will have. Savor what you have. Enjoy what you have. The other week, we had a 13-hour drive that turned into a 15-hour drive going to a wedding. Oh, we're dreading it. I decided, you know what? I'm not going to dread this. I'm going to have my family with me. We're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy this. We're going to make a trip out of it. We're going to enjoy the journey. How come you decide that? Decide that. Savor everything that you have. Savor everything that you have. Then keep your values in order. What is life about? I love the verse. Life consisteth not in the abundance of the things a man possesseth. So if life is not in things, what else is there? It's relationships. Relationship, number one, with God, with your family, with your friends. You show me someone who has good relationships, I'll show you someone who has a happy life. Show me someone who has bad relationships, no matter how much money they have, and I'll show you someone who has a bad life. It's true. Value what's important. Okay? Something breaks. My son and I bought a truck together, and he wrecked it. Oh, love that little truck. Little Nissan, four-wheel drive, quad cab, hard body. Boy, that was neat. My next son, we bought a truck together, and it was a Ford F-150, my first Ford. My dad always had Ford trucks. My first Ford F-150 four-wheel drive truck. And we shared it and bought it together, and he rolled it. Man, wrecked that truck. Hated it. Had a Ford Explorer. Nice blue and gray. Boy, I love that. Love the way it looked, shine, color, all that. Oh, my son had borrowed it. I have 7 sons, so not all the same one. And on the interstate, he rolled it. And I didn't have that anymore. Guess what? Those are things. Who cares? What do you value? Relationships. No one in those things were hurt very badly. And boy, that's a big deal. What do you value? Value relationships. Life does not consist in the things. Life consists in the relationships. And the last one, and I love this, a verse that Paul said, Acts 26, verse 2. I think myself happy, King Agrippa. I think myself happy. Do you understand, no matter how down, discouraged, depressed you are, you can think yourself happy? My kids the other day, it was so funny. I embarrassed them with this, but they were in the kitchen and I don't know who came up with it or why, but they said, hey, let's fake laugh until we really start laughing. So, I mean, the kids are 18, 16, 14, and 13. And so they just started fake laughing until it turned into a real laugh. Can you do that? Absolutely. Can you think yourself happy? Paul did. By the way, when Paul's doing this, he's getting ready to be killed. He's talking to King Agrippa. He's on his way to see Caesar. He's going to die. He's been in prison. But guess what he did? He thinks himself happy. And why? Because he can answer for himself this day. Because he got to answer for himself, he thought himself happy. Boy, it doesn't take much to think yourself happy if you work on it. What are the things when you think about can make you happy? Boy, I'm going to heaven, no pain, no heartache, no struggles. Oh, my loved ones that are gone, that are already there. Wow, what a great day it's going to be. No goodbyes, seeing Jesus, hearing well done. Boy, what a great thing. You think on those things, guess what? You're going to think yourself happy. You're going to think yourself happy. If you spend your life chasing the happenings, okay? And by the way, those are fun. I've scuba certified. I can do that. And I enjoy that. And, I've jumped out of airplanes. Hey, that was fun. I've rappelled off a 300-foot cliff. Hey, those are great. But if I'm looking and searching for those to make me happy, then I can only be happy when you get to do those big fun things. But if you make happiness what you do based on gratitude, thankfulness, contentment, then guess what? You can live in a state of happiness and you can be happy every day. And that's what we need to do. That's where we need to be. All right. Hey, God bless you. Have a great day. Be kind to everybody because everyone's having a tough day. And until next time, get wisdom for your life. It is the principal thing. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to the Wisdom for Life podcast. If you have any questions for us, email us at askpastorbaker@gmail.com, and we will answer them in an upcoming podcast. The email is askpastorbaker@gmail.com.